Welcome to the Fort Johnson podcast. As we enter the new year, January is recognized as Operational Security or OPSEC Awareness Month. This is a time for us to reflect on our daily practices and ensure that we are keeping ourselves and our soldiers safe. Today, we have Sherry Johnson, a security specialist here at Fort Johnson, joining us to discuss the importance of OPSEC and ways we can all contribute to maintaining a secure environment. So let's get started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are watching our podcast. I am Jeff England from the Fort Johnson Public Affairs Office, and we are in the Fort Johnson Podcast Studios. Today, we're talking about OPSEC. OPSEC, everyone's top concern is making sure that we're all safe. We don't like it. And we have Sherry Johnson today. How you doing, Sherry?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you in with us. Thanks for coming on over and sharing your time with us. So, operational security is very important because the way I used to train it was when our troops are moving and we're having a movement out there, I would always tell nobody wants to know when you're having a movement.
You're right.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about OPSEC?
So, as you stated, it's about operational security, and with that, it becomes, what are you going to do to keep your people safe? How are you going to protect them? And things like social media, number one enemy. I mean, people let people know things, and now you have a rumor mill that begins, and nothing ends up being actually factual when it comes to that. And it's just assumptions of things.
Yeah, we had that same problem with like just police activity, normal police activity, something they're looking for somebody, or a bunch of cop cars stopped because they were discussing something, and then all of a sudden the rumor mills start on Facebook and social media, and it's like, ooh, what's going on here? I heard this, I heard that. Well, we should be told everything. It's like, no, you should not be told everything.
Right.
Calm down.
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as even, if they see trains going by or something to that effect, that rumors happen. And it's like, they might just be going for an exercise or something else, but you really shouldn't be saying exactly what's going on with those.
Yeah, we get the trains in here all the time, and they're usually carrying a bunch of equipment. The people around here are used to it, but you see them going through
across the country,
across
things
the country,
like that, and it stirs up things, especially when things are going on overseas. So.
Yeah, and it's like, well, now they're setting up detention camps and re-education. Get the tinfoil off your head.
Yes, exactly. So
they hear rumors and they ask me. It's like, no. But then again, working at public affairs, I have the capability of releasing public information.
Exactly.
And
you have the know-how and the knowledge and the experience.
Exactly.
Like anything else with even politics. Certain things are released and other things are not for various reasons. And OPSEC is a big reason on why some things don't get released at a certain time.
Absolutely. And the whole thing is, it's not just our families and friends that are watching and listening and looking for stuff like this. There's other people out there with less than honorable intentions. And, it's if you're telling, oh, yeah, my spouse is leaving on the bus at 8:30 in the morning, and I can't believe there's only one way to Alexandria Airport, and that's the way they're taking, and now they have to drive down this funky road. And it's like, oh, thank you very much for all the information I need.
Exactly. And they create a target without even realizing it. Their intentions, a lot of times spouses will be, oh, I'm so excited, my husband's coming back home. And they post it on their social media, and they're like, oh, we made all these signs to welcome them home. We can't wait to see them on Tuesday or whatever. Well, now you have made a target. I mean, for example, Fort Hood, like the SRP site, I think we all pretty much remember that with Hassan, and it was public knowledge that it was going to be there because of things like that.
Yeah. And it's not just military stuff.
No.
I mean, this can be, I'm going on vacation, or I'm posting all these pictures of our whole family away from our house on vacation and no one's around.
Yeah, so you basically said, here, you can come and rob my house, or, oh, I can't, it's our first time leaving our daughter to tend to the house. We're going to have a couple's getaway. And now you've made her a target as well. So it doesn't have to be just a military-based thing. Operational security is basically taking care of yourself, taking care of your people, taking care of your family, protecting them.
Yeah, now your teenage child, your teenage kids, or everyone at school knows that their parents are going to be out of town, and now there's going to be a big rager at their house. It's like you have no one to blame but you.
If you're lucky, that is all that's going to be happening. I mean, because it can create a huge threat, and you can put your child at risk. So you have to really watch what you post on your social media.
It's really funny that we have a name for it, because it's like OPSEC, don't do this, don't do that, and this is the reason why. Before military and just growing up, I actually knew all these little things to do, especially if you're going on vacation, because that's like a deployment, but funner. And you would stop the mail, you'd stop the newspaper for a while, so your newspapers don't pile up, your mail doesn't pile up, and you have lights on timers, and
right.
It's all this stuff, and it was just you don't want people to know that you're gone, or you don't want you want certain people to know where you are,
right.
and for safety reasons. But now there's a word for it, and it's OPSEC. And it's like, oh, I've been doing this all my life now.
Right, exactly. And I mean, you can coordinate with a neighbor or something like that. Hey, can you just stop in and check your mail or whatever if you don't do the stop
Water
mail.
the plants.
Yes. And even if they're putting, oh, well, thinking of such and such is going to be watching the house or whatever, if you feel compelled to say, hey, you're leaving out of the area, then at least do something to that nature, so it has the appearance of someone is consistently there.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories about people. As a matter of fact, I just saw it on TV. They were called. These people were on vacation, and their neighbors called and said, "Are you back in town?" It's like, no, why? It's like, because there are guys going in and out of your house all day. So they pull up the security cameras and watched their house get robbed live on their security feed. And it's oh, wow. I don't know if I'd be able to handle that. I'd be on the cops. And then I started asking, it's like, why didn't the neighbors call the cops?
Exactly.
But you get that moving van out there. It's like, oh, we didn't know you were moving. And
Yep. We just had that with one of my mother's neighbors. We saw the moving van out there and just stopped over and touched base with them and made sure what all was going on to make sure everything was legit. So
it was legit, right?
It was legit.
Okay, good.
Thank goodness.
So do you have any like horror stories or safety stories that you've heard, like real world stories where OPSEC came into play?
I can tell you from a personal experience where I've had to speak up and just kind of turn around is a lot of people tend to forget, because here they're in that military environment, and when they're in their unit, they're used to being able to talk about certain things that they think nothing of, right? But when they leave the installation, and say if they've gone to a restaurant in town, they continue talking.
Yeah, in the diner yeah.
Exactly. And about details that shouldn't be discussed in a public forum, and so I've had to turn around and say, hey, you need to not talk about that here at your office where it's protected. But you've got too many people that are listening, and you could see people turning around and listening, and they're trying to figure things out. And they didn't think anything of it because they've been talking about it all day at the office. Now they've talking about it at lunch. But you really have to watch out for those things.
It's almost like having an argument with your wife. It's like, don't air your dirty laundry, you know?
Oh, gosh, yes, yes.
So now the whole bus trip, and you know, that's a standard thing to talk about. The troop movements. I mean, there is going to be stuff that gets out into the public realm, but
Right.
you want to keep that vague. And it's like, yeah, we're going to be deployed next year. But,
Right.
you know, keep it vague. Don't tell them where you're going, when you're going, what you're going to be doing. So, yeah, we've got troops going down to the border to secure the border, and they'll be there on 3:00 on Tuesday.
Exactly. Exactly. So, like, I mean, even right now, we have certain ships that we've been seeing on the news over the past day or two, and the things that are going on with that. Well, you have to be careful of those items too, because now they've said that now we have these countries and these countries and these countries that are all in those areas. But now have you created a bigger vulnerability for each of those areas?
So what would be some of the less known things that people really don't pay attention to, or they wouldn't even think? I mean, like for me, it'd be like phone calls. Mm-hmm. You're talking to your family on the phone, but you know, phones can be overheard, phones can be tapped.
A huge thing is when people go overseas. So when they're OCONUS, which is your overseas travel, your foreign travel, most airports, whenever you go somewhere else, and a lot of you probably don't even know this, but there are like these mock towers, if you will, that are set up by other entities to kind of intercept your calls and start getting into your information before it actually hits that other cell tower. That's a big thing that's going on that a lot of people have no idea. What's the first thing they do whenever they get to the airport?
I'm here safe.
Honey, I landed. I'm good. I'll be headed to the hotel at such and such and such and such, or we have a layover. You know, I mean, it's
Got diverted.
And yes, it's a lot of that kind of stuff, but they put up these towers in between so that way they can collect your data and information. So it's usually best if you leave that area and get away from that airport before you start making phone calls.
Now, when OPSEC, or is OPSEC considered when you go to a hotel and you don't want to have a room that faces the street, and you don't want to be on a floor higher than the 5th floor? Is that OPSEC, or is that a different security versions?
That's going to be more of a different, it really depends on what's going on. Say if it's a conference, then you may have some of those OPSEC things, but that's also going to merge in with your physical security.
Yeah,
as well.
physical security.
Yes,
that's the one.
yes.
Like you don't want a room on the higher than the 5th floor, and that's because ladder trucks only get up to the 5th floor. So at least you'll be that. You don't want to be on the street side, because if there's an explosion or something, then that's the side that's going to get hit. You don't want to be on the 1st floor because it's too unsecure.
Right.
But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff like that.
It's a lot of things that you don't normally think of. But I mean, if you look at it, I mean, when you're thinking about that kind of security, how many military personnel back into their parking spots? Why? Emergency egress. You know, I see people on social media go, it took so much time for somebody to back up. I'm trying to get somewhere or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but they're trained for that emergency egress situation where you're not. And, you know, it's just simple stuff like that.
You know, I do that when coming up to a red light. I leave enough room in between me and the car in front So if in case of an emergency, I can get out of that situation and not get blocked in.
Exactly.
Also, it also gives a buffer zone
in case
if
somebody
hits
hits
me
you.
from
Yes.
behind. Now, on my old truck, I used to keep my trailer hitch on the truck, and that offered a security if somebody rear-ended me too.
Well, I probably offer security at 350 as well because, I have hit my shin on enough of those on that sidewalk.
Stop walking so close to the trucks.
Right?
So so we've got OPSEC. What kind of training do we have available around here for OPSEC, especially for OPSEC month? Do you have training planned?
So there is an annual training requirement for your OPSEC awareness, and usually each unit kind of sets those to a certain time frame. Not everybody is doing theirs, I believe, in January. I think some of them have them lined up that are going to be more in the fiscal year time frame. But it is an annual requirement for our military and civilian personnel to go through. And each time that's published out, CDSE has some courses that they can take. You can just Google CDSE if you're military or have a CAT card. And there's training and stuff on there as well. Aside from what you have for, ALMS and stuff, that's what we've got. That's where we have ours at. So I think we do ours in March.
Cybersecurity.
All the fun
we have
stuff,
so many things
right?
that we have to do. Cyber awareness and this and that and this. And then you got your extra duties as assigned, and you've got more training on top of that. And then you got your ancillary training, which I've never used an ancillary. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Nope. Not all of them are jewels.
No, they are not. But, they are requirements, and they're requirements for a reason, because something has happened is to keep you vigilant and aware. It's just like if you go to a fast food restaurant and you order a coffee and it says the coffee is hot. Well, it's on there for a reason.
I actually know the story behind that one.
I do too.
And they deserved it. They deserved to be sued. They did. I know the story behind that. It's like, oh wow, it was all that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like somebody sued for hot coffee. It's like, yeah, but do you know what led up to it?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
But it's training to me is always like there's a warning on the label for a reason, and it's like, who are these people that caused the warning? Don't use the toaster in the bathtub.
Right. Because, somebody has made the mistake. I mean, we joke about these things and stuff, but really, people are doing things, and there are reasons why we have, things like OPSEC in place.
And I would like to know the person. I just want to meet the person that caused the warning to go on the preparation H that says for oral or not for oral use.
I was going to say, I think it'd be the opposite.
Dear preparation H.
Pucker up, Buttercup.
Oh my. So we've got training. If a unit out there wanted to get some training, they could set up training with your office.
They can, or they could go to G2, which if they're a FORSCOM side, they can go through the G2 office, and then they can set them up with some OPSEC training.
What about the units that are going through rotation here up at JRTC? Do they get OPSEC as part of the rotational training?
They do. They have. It's not just at OPSEC training. They have a multitude of things that they actually have to train for. But yes, OPSEC is a portion of that.
That's cool. A lot of this has. There's a reason. OPSEC is a reason why we're not allowed to have drones on installations, because especially certain brands, because they've been hacked, and they have
manufactured in places that we don't need things from.
Yes, exactly. And I'm still trying to find a way around that, because I really want to get a drone on our post, so get some aerial shots, and I think that'd be pretty cool. Not to mention fun flying the.
Oh yeah.
You got to have fun, If it's worth doing, it's worth having fun.
Exactly.
Well, they say if you enjoy your job, then you'll won't work a day out in your life.
That's true. That's a true statement. I love my job. I get to help people all the time. Most people think, oh God, security, that's horrible. But I enjoy it because I get to help people.
What I don't understand is the people that say, well, security and police, that's
very
a
different.
horrible job and blah, blah, blah. But yet cops has been on the air for, 40 years now?
Oh, yeah. Well, shoot, even if you think about it, so even OPSEC has been around. I mean, we've all seen those posters, loose lips sink ships.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's OPSEC, and we're talking nearly a century ago, right?
and some of the spies, the famous spies, Matahari and Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Yep.
No, they've got all kinds of incidents where just and it doesn't have to be all at once. You could say a little bit here and somebody else can say a little bit there. And, it's.
Well, and then that's even, so you might have multiple open source items, open source being stuff that's just out there on the web, but you piece all these pieces together and they become something very valuable or very harmful, if you will. Yes, once that puzzle is put together, then you can create something else that's absolutely insane, that can be very harmful.
Yeah. Crazy. I saw a video on YouTube that this guy showed OPSEC and how to secure your profile on Facebook and social media, and he would go up to people. He would pick people at random, and he would go up to them and tell them all about themselves.
Oh, yes.
And he would pretend that he knows them, and it's like, oh yeah, hey Sherry, how you doing? How's your dog? How's your family? Did they get over that? Oh, did you wish a happy birthday? It's like, how do you? And they look. It's like, do you know me? Do we know each other? He's all, nope. But
I have social media, but my social media is
locked down,
it's not my name.
Ooh.
So those that know me know me.
It?
I'm not telling.
What name is it, huh?
But I mean, I do. I have. That's just an OPSEC thing that I personally do for myself, other than having things locked down to where people, if I don't have a friend in common with them, they can't find me, and I'll actually have to do a request for them to be in there. But yeah, I don't have my my real name on mine.
There's certain things for mine. I don't normally do friend requests. I'll accept them, but I normally don't go out and give friend requests. And I rarely ever put my my actual picture as my profile picture. So if they see my profile picture and it's me, it's probably not me.
Yes, yeah. Which, I mean, you say that and we laugh about it, but several years ago, whenever I worked over at Ops Group, we had one of our cogs that there was a picture that came up on social media, and I was like, that's not him. And I'm reading all this other stuff, also not him. So I went down there, and I'm like, sir, are you tracking this? And he had no idea. So then they had to go through all these wickets to get things down. But honestly, they could be fishing for information and waiting on somebody else to friend request them and say, oh, that's my buddy and this and that. But it's probably an adversary trying to collect information.
Yeah, I had a chat opened up. My uncle opened up a chat and started chatting with me. It's like, oh, hey, how's it going? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Then I knew immediately something wasn't right. And then he starts saying, oh, have you heard about this? And it's like, oh, God, no, no. It was not him. So
exactly.
It's like, how did he not only get into or get his profile to be able to come up, but unless he hacked his profile, how does they have some weird ways, or they have some all kinds of ways to get into.
Some very tech savvy individuals. I mean, there's a lot of people that are into the entire tech world as far as your IT stuff. I mean, now a lot of companies aren't even requiring degrees and things like that because this, younger generation can actually teach themselves. There's a serious short between the seat and the keyboard when it comes to me, because that is not my realm. But I mean, there are some very savvy individuals that can do that. And then, I mean, dark web's been around for a long time now. You know,
I'm
we're old enough to
I
remember
don't
when
even
there was
want-
no internet.
I don't want to venture onto the dark web. I like watching the videos about going down the rabbit hole and all these weird websites, and it's like, oh, that's neat. Oh, weirdos. And like, but it's kind of like remember the TV series The Dark Side?
Yes.
Yes, it's kind of like the dark side.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no.
Well, you know, we bring up TV shows, and there's, you know, movies that talk about things like the honeypots and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that is still a way to gather information, you know.
So does spying come under OPSEC, or I mean,
It
there's
can
also
touch on
there's-
it. All most of your security things kind of touch onto one another.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, because I mean, for example, you have, say, the traditional one that we normally hear about is, oh, the secretary, she's, you know, of a foreign entity or collecting for a foreign entity, and she's now having the affair with, you know, say the boss. You know, that's what you normally see in a movie. We'll just go with what we see in a movie.
Yeah.
And but they're gathering information, and it's not a fast process. Some of these people are years and years and years in the making of collecting information to, you know, use against the United States.
Yeah, it's like the next thing they're going to find out is where Santa lives.
You know,
It's like, you
right?
can't do that. It's like, yeah, North Pole, but where? It's a magic. It's magic.
That's right.
So if you were to give us some tips, the best tips and the top 10 tips, or the top tips that you could possibly do for OPSEC, especially for the month, what should we do, at least for January? I mean, we should do it year round, but during January, what would you say, hey, let's just try to get into a habit, and what are some of the easiest and the best things, the top tips to?
I would say the biggest one would probably be think before you speak.
That's very hard for a lot of people.
It is.
It is a lot of people. And I've seen some posts on Facebook. It's like, do you really read over what you're posting before you hit send or post? And it's like,
But I mean, honestly, thinking before you speak, I mean, are you saying anything that can put anybody in jeopardy? Are you, regardless, set your opinion of something aside. That's a big, opinions right now are, boy, that's a hot spot, isn't it?
oh, yeah. Yeah. No one's allowed to have an opinion.
But,
So.
you know, I mean, it's okay to have an opinion, but is you voicing your opinion on something going to put somebody else at risk? Look beyond yourself whenever you're saying something or typing something into your social media or any of that kind of stuff. Social media itself, be cognizant of what it is that you're saying. Are you going to put yourself at risk? Are you going to put somebody else at risk? Are you putting your family member at risk? I mean, honestly, if I hear you talking at a lunch somewhere and you've talking about how you're going to deploy and this and that, and now you're telling me where I can hear you talking about, oh, little Johnny, yeah, they're having their school program on this day and this day, and all of this additional information that I'm hearing about your wife and your kids and your dogs and everything else. So do you really want to be saying that much information? People don't think much about it. However, if he was just talking about deployments and it sounds like he might know a lot of information, then somebody might say, hey, let me go get the dog, or, you know, get the fish, or whatever it is, or the child even. We know where they go to school, and then try to blackmail or coerce this person into giving more information. That's why you have to be cognizant of what it is that you are saying.
Yeah, it could come down to is something as simple as those little stickers on the back window
Exactly.
that show your family. It's
Yes.
like it's like, okay, this person has
three
kids and
Yep.
and a dog, and then the bumper sticker of my kid's an honor student at this school, so now they know what school they go to, and you take the same route to work every single day. You leave at the same same time. You come home at the same time. It's like you got to mix things up and, just keep people on their toes. How about bottom line? Don't make it easy.
Yeah, exactly. Don't make it easy. I mean, even you remember when we used to have the stickers on our on our windshields and stuff.
I miss them.
But we don't have, yes, to some extent. But, I mean, there's a reason that those were removed because it made you
a target. Well, that's like overseas, you have the American plates, like AFI and the little plates that fit American cars, whereas, get a foreign plate, but not around here. Don't get a foreign plate.
Yeah,
not around here. Actually, if you are in the military and you're from out of state, you can get a Louisiana plate, and it's like $25 for 4 years or something instead of your yearly subscription or registration for $500 a year, and it's a Louisiana plate, so you don't look like an out-of-stater, so you blend in a little bit better.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Useful information.
It is useful.
You can always learn some new stuff.
Follow me for more information.
There you go.
Well, Sherry, I appreciate you coming in on such a busy day and busy month of January.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I hope you have a very prosperous new year. I hope you had a Merry Christmas, and I appreciate you coming in, and hope to have you in again soon.
All right. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Well, I am going to say goodbye to everybody for now. But anyway, I'm Jeff England with the Public Affairs Office here at Fort Johnson, and you've been watching the Fort Johnson podcast. Love having you around. Please hit subscribe, hit notification, and leave a message or a note for us to see what you have to say. So maybe you have a subject that you'd like to see on our podcast. Drop me a note. Drop me a sign. Give me a sign. Yeah, give me a sign. But anyway, I'm Jeff England, and I will be listening at you later.
That was easy.